المؤمن عند الله أعظم من زوال الدنيا. The killing and the murdering of a believer in the sight of Allah is greater than the vanishing of this whole world. The killing of a believer in the sight of Allah is greater than the destruction of this whole world, is the absence of this whole world, is the elimination of this whole world. And that is the seriousness of the soul of the believer. ويقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من أمن رجلا على دمه فقتله فأنا بريء من القاتل وإن كان المقتول كافرا. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم says, he who ever gives safety to someone and yet he betrays him and kills him. Okay, someone comes and asking your protection and you give him the protection, then you kill him. But the bottom line, the point is killing. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, I renounce this person, I denounce this person, I denounce this person, and I'm free from this person, and he has nothing to do with me. I don't know him and he doesn't know me, even if the person he killed was kafir. Even if the person he killed was kafir. So be aware of this serious crime. ويقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يجيء المقتول متعلقا بالقاتل يوم القيامة وأوداجه تشخب دما يوقفه بين يدي الله ويقول يا رب سل هذا فيما قتلني سل هذا فيما قتلني. The Prophet ﷺ said in this sound hadith that the murderer will bring on the day of judgment, the murdered person, the killed person will bring on the day of judgment the one who killed him, the murderer. He will grab him and he will hang to his neck and he will take him to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this person who was murdered, doing that while blood's coming out of his body, he will drag this person, the killer, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he will put him before Allah and he will tell Allah, oh Allah, ask him why he killed me. Ask him why he killed me. For what reason he killed me and he thought that it was okay to do that. ويقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بين يدي الساعة يكثر الهرج قالوا وما الهرج يا رسول الله قال القتل. And this is what we see and this is what's happening today. Killing everywhere. The Prophet ﷺ said, and we mentioned this before when we talked about, when we had the lecture, لا تقوم الساعة, the day of judgment doesn't come until, and one of those things that will happen, كثرة الهرج. So when the Prophet ﷺ said too much of this will happen, the Sahaba asked him, what is al-haraj? فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم القتل. Murdering, killing will be in abundance. Killing people today is easier than killing a chicken. Seriously. You know, people for some reason, countries and governments and systems and powers are killing people right and left, and they have no shame and they have no regret. Millions and millions. If you just look in the last 20 or 30 years, you'll find, Allahu A'lam, the number of people that have been killed more than the people been killed since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the earth. Allahu A'lam. This is just an estimate. In the last 100 years, in the last 100, all these wars, millions and millions of people were killed. World War I and World War, it's unbelievable the number of wars that have been taking place in the last century. And the number of people are killed, and mass destruction, and mass killing, and mass graves, and all that. Yet they still call for freedom, and they still call for human rights, and they still call to respect the human individuality and individualism, and everyone has the right to do whatever he wants, and this and that, and they are that, and their hands are full of blood. Full of blood. I mean, just look at September 11 and whatever happened in September 11 and the number of people that were killed in September 11, and look at the solution. Look how they solved the problem. Killing hundreds of thousands of people. That is not human rights. Those hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people were not the ones who committed the crime. But that is when there is no sanctity and no respect for a human life. No respect for a human life. However, these are prophecies that have to be fulfilled, whether they like it or they don't like it, whether they choose or they don't. the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will prevail. And what the Prophet ﷺ said will happen. Doesn't matter how many human rights organizations they have. It doesn't matter how many branches of the United Nations they have. Doesn't matter how many Nobel Prizes for peace they give. All that doesn't mean anything. All that doesn't mean anything. They're still killing and murdering and bombing and blowing people and killing without any mercy. Because they think they have the power and they have the right to do that, and no one has the right to do that. So this is the first thing, as we mentioned, that people will be asked on the Day of Judgment when it comes between judging between people. And when it comes to the relationship between people, they will be asked the first thing about the blood, about the lives, about murdering. And the very first thing when it comes to the relationship between a person and Allah, they will be asked about on the Day of Judgment is the Salah, as we have mentioned before. Now, is there qisas bayna al-mu'mineen? Will there be judgment between the believers? Will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put believers against each other on the Day of Judgment for each one to take whatever the other one owes him and to pay off what he owes? Yes, that will happen as well. That will happen as well. So the judgment is not only between believers and non-believers. It also will take place between the believers themselves. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم البخاري إذا خلص المؤمنون من النار. When the believers are saved from the hellfire, and that is after as-sirat. After the believers walk over as-sirat, the straight, that thin, hair-thin path that they have to walk over, and underneath is the hellfire. When they are saved from that, حُبِسُوا بِقَنْطَرَةٍ بَيْنَ الْجَنَّةِ وَالنَّارِ. They will be held in a place between hell and Jannah, between hell and paradise. So you have hell, they pass as-sirat, and then they come to an area between hell and paradise, and that is قنطرة. They will be held there. فَيَقْتَصُّونَ مَظَالِمَ كَانَتْ بَيْنَهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge between them for things that they committed against each other in the dunya. So it wasn't over yet. It wasn't over. Allah will hold them there, and He will start taking the rights of each one from the other. حتى إذا هذبوا ونقوا أذن لهم في دخول الجنة. Until everything is settled, until everything is cleared, until each one taken what belongs to him and had given what belongs to the others. And as we said last time, there is no money to pay, there is no checks to write, there is no gold to give. It's all good deeds and bad deeds. Not working? Been talking to myself all this. And you guys shaking your head? Like, what's wrong with you? Didn't know I'm that cute, but I'll take it. So until they're clear, because and everything is settled. Better? And everything is settled between them, between the believers. Because only the muwahhideen, the believers, those who died on Tawheed, are the ones who will be able to cross the Sirat. And we will talk about the Sirat, inshallah. Then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge between them. Whoever owes something will pay it from his good deeds. Whoever owes someone something, he has to pay it. Whoever owes someone else, he will get paid. All that from good deeds and bad deeds. Then يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فوالذي نفس محمد بيده. Then he says, after that is done, after everything is settled, now is al-Jannah. Al-Jannah. Now, what you've been going through your whole life, and death and grave and reckoning, and judgment, hisab, qisas, now it's al-Jannah. فيقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فوالذي نفس محمد بيده. He swears صلى الله عليه وسلم by Allah, the one who has power over my soul. He says, إن أحدهم لأعلم بمنزله في الجنة والذي نفس محمد بيده. Now it's time to enter al-Jannah. They've never been there. They've never been there. But the Prophet ﷺ says, Well, I swear by Allah,